Happy New Year, Squaddies. Imagine waking up to headlines screaming that the President of the United States wants to deport Prince Harry. Not for a crime, not for a security threat, not for any violation of law, but purely out of political spite. For weeks, right-wing commentators and political operatives have pushed the absurd idea that Prince Harry, a war veteran, a mental health advocate, and a lawful US resident, could somehow be kicked out of America at the snap of a president's fingers. Today, that fantasy has officially collapsed. Because according to immigration lawyers, legal experts, and even the US Department of Homeland Security itself, Donald Trump has absolutely zero authority to deport Prince Harry. None. Not a shred. Not even close. And the truth behind this story reveals far more about political theatre, anti-Sussex obsession, and how US immigration law actually works than it does about Prince Harry. So today, we're breaking it all down. Why the deportation threat was legally meaningless. Why Harry is not deportable. How this saga exposes a disturbing fixation on Harry and Meghan. And why, once again, the Sussexes are living rent-free in their critics' heads. Let's get into it. Radar Online has now confirmed what legal experts have been saying all along. Donald Trump does not have unilateral authority to deport anyone, including Prince Harry. Immigration lawyer Fomi Javier Dieza put it bluntly. Donald Trump does not have unilateral authority to deport an individual, including Prince Harry, who is a lawful permanent resident of the United States. That's it. Case closed. But let's slow this down, because the misinformation surrounding this story has been deliberate. Many people seem to believe the US president can simply point at someone and say, "You're out." That is not how America works. Deportation is governed by statutory law, not presidential mood swings. Even a sitting president cannot personally deport someone. They cannot override immigration courts. They cannot bypass due process. Every deportation must go through the Department of Homeland Security, must have a formal legal basis under the Immigration and Nationality Act, must be reviewed by immigration courts, and must be supported by admissible evidence. In other words, law, not politics, decides who stays and who goes. And Prince Harry doesn't even come close to meeting the legal threshold for deportation. Under US immigration law, someone can only be deported if the government proves they are legally removable. That includes immigration fraud, material misrepresentation, certain criminal convictions, or serious violations of visa or residency conditions. Speculation doesn't count. Political outrage doesn't count. Media hysteria doesn't count. And here is the key sentence that shuts down the entire anti-Harry narrative. Public speculation, including admissions in a memoir or media interviews, does not automatically translate into deportability. That one line destroys the entire argument. Because the claims against Prince Harry have never been backed by a court ruling, a DHS finding, or admissible evidence-only noise. The controversy intensified after Harry's memoir, Spare, where he openly discussed experimenting with drugs in his youth. A candid admission that many praised as honest and reflective. But instead of applauding transparency, political actors weaponized it. The Heritage Foundation, a right-wing think tank, filed a lawsuit demanding the release of Harry's immigration records, claiming he must have lied on his visa application. It sounded dramatic. It generated headlines. But legally, it went nowhere. Why? Because an attorney from the Department of Homeland Security confirmed that Prince Harry's application followed all applicable rules and regulations. That's not speculation. That's DHS. And immigration lawyer Diessa further explained something critics conveniently ignore. US immigration law allows for waivers, discretionary relief, and confidentiality protections, even if prior drug use were disclosed. It does not automatically bar entry or permanent residency. Millions of Americans, including citizens, have experimented with substances in their youth. That alone is not grounds for deportation. And without clear, admissible evidence of fraud, there is no case. Let's be honest. This was never about immigration compliance. This was about Prince Harry daring to live freely, speak honestly, and challenge powerful systems, including political forces that thrive on division, hierarchy, and inherited privilege. Harry represents everything that threatens old power structures. A royal who walked away. A man who chose mental health over monarchy. A veteran who speaks openly about trauma. And a husband who publicly supports his wife against racist and misogynistic attacks. For some people, that is unforgivable. So they reach for the loudest weapon they have: manufactured outrage. Adding fuel to the fire, Prince Harry recently appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where he delivered a subtle but devastating joke. "I heard you elected a king." The line landed perfectly, and it clearly struck a nerve. He followed it with another quip about immigration and customs, poking fun at the very hysteria being used against him. It wasn't cruel, it wasn't aggressive, it was satire. And satire has always terrified authoritarians. Then came the walkback. After weeks of posturing, Donald Trump suddenly claimed he wasn't interested in deporting Harry at all, saying, "I'll leave him alone. He's got enough problems with his wife." A cheap jab, a familiar tactic. And once again, Meghan Sussex was dragged into it because for critics, Meghan is always the villain, regardless of facts. But notice what didn't happen. There was no legal filing, no DHS action, no immigration review, just rhetoric followed by retreat. Of course, no Sussex controversy is complete without recycled palace talking points. Suddenly, anonymous sources claimed Harry wants back into the royal family. Meghan is spiralling. Their marriage is in trouble. We've heard this song for 5 years, and yet they're still together. Still raising their children privately, still building businesses, still advocating globally. If rumours were facts, Harry and Meghan would have divorced a dozen times by now. This story was never just about Prince Harry. It was a test case for something far more dangerous. Can political power be used to target individuals for ideological reasons? Can immigration law be weaponized against dissenters? Can truth be drowned out by outrage? This time the answer was no. The law held, facts won, and the deportation fantasy collapsed under scrutiny. Prince Harry followed the rules, passed the process, lives legally in the United States, pays taxes, contributes to society. Meanwhile, his loudest critics have offered nothing but speculation, resentment, and obsession. If this story proves anything, it's this: Prince Harry isn't the problem. The obsession with controlling him is. And that brings us to the end of today's story. If you believe in facts over fear, if you're tired of seeing Harry and Meghan targeted for daring to live on their own terms, make sure you're subscribed, hit like, share this video, and keep supporting independent voices. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and stay informed.